Hi, guys. So, today we're going to be talking about a topic that I think is super important for every teacher, new or experienced, which is classroom management and behavior management. How do teachers create a positive learning environment? What strategies actually work? And how do we support students while really maintaining respect? And I think that is something I really wanted to talk about as going into being a first year teacher. I think it's something that a lot of us young teachers worry about is how to keep respect in the classroom, how to have our students respect us. Definitely high school students, when we're going to be so young that the age gap isn't super big. So to help us answer these questions today, I'm going to be with Mr. Ryle. He is a high school teacher that has real experience being a little bit younger and managing high school kids in today's day and age. I also think it's really cool, as this is a project for Mr. Williamson's class. Mr. Ryle was actually one of Mr. Williamson's students when he went to Mizzou. So that's kind of super full circle for this project. He is my host teacher right now, and we've really gotten along great, and I'm really glad that he helped us answer these questions today. So yeah, let's go to Mr. Ryle. All right, I am here with Mr. Ryle. Mr. Ryle, if you would like to tell us a little bit about where you teach and how long you've been teaching and the classes you teach.
I teach at Fulton High School. This is my fourth year teaching. I teach U.S. history and AP government and politics.
So since you've only been here for a few years, do you feel like you still feel pretty new, or do you think that you can confidently manage a classroom even just after a few years?
I definitely still feel new. I feel much more confident. I think the third year was the first year where I almost felt like a real teacher. The first two was still figuring things out, trying to do my best to make sure everybody could be as successful. But yeah, I still feel new, but not as new as I did from year 1 and 2.
Yeah. How would you describe your philosophy for classroom management? What are some rules and routines that you stand by, and how do you think it's changed since you started?
At the beginning, I tried to be super relationship based, which is still really important. But what I found more is expectations need to be high. They need to be consistent. If you're not consistent, everything will just fall apart really easily. Which is why, staying consistent. Being focused more on, establishing those expectations, and then the relationships will come. That's kind of how my philosophy, I don't even know if I have a philosophy, but that's how my view of things has shifted over the first couple of years.
Yeah. What strategies do you use to build a positive relationship with your students, and how do you think that that's something that helps behavior in the classroom?
Just finding anything in common, or just finding, different things that they're interested in will always help. There's you can form relationships with kids who you have nothing in common with. It's just finding some sort of in with them, whether it's, stuff you're interested in, or just finding, having a consistent conversation can always help as well. If you don't have a relationship with kids, it's almost impossible for them to be successful and kind of do what you need them to do, if that makes sense. So you have to form those relationships before anything's going to get done.
When you started, since you were young, do you feel like it was easier or harder to build
I thought it was going to be really easy, but in fact it was really hard. When I started, they kept asking if I was 30, and I'm like, no, I'm 22, guys. So they don't have any concept of the whole relationship, or sorry, the whole age thing. So yeah. I thought it was going to be really easy, but it was a little bit more difficult, which is why you kind of have to adjust your expectations and change things.
How do you work to prevent misbehavior before it happens, and what do you think that looks like every day?
What I was kind of thinking about is the expectation. You can tell them the expectations.
Shaden Bacon, please come to the front office. Shaden Bacon to the front office.
You can tell them the expectations. That doesn't mean they'll necessarily follow them. You have to continuously reinforce them. And again, consistency is where I think my first couple years is where I missed the mark the most. Mm-hmm. So you need to be consistent. You need to always have those high expectations. Misbehavior is going to happen, but you can minimize it I found you can minimize it a little bit more by staying consistent, not really giving an inch almost. Free time is your enemy. So that's why it's important to, be consistent, be focused, make sure kids are consistently have something to do as well.
Do you feel like that, like, once you built those relationships, you could almost expect what certain kids were going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. You
Like,
can,
to be able to be like, I know if I give this person this, they're gonna do this with it.
Yeah,
type of
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah, you give some kids an inch, they'll take a mile. You know exactly which kids too. But again, it's easier to rein them back in if you have those relationships. If you don't have that relationship, it's all once they're gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
How do you think that technology plays a role with this?
I was kind of thinking about that. I think it can allow for more in-depth learning and more diversified learning, but they can use technology to learn at home or like on their own. It helps to supplement things. I still think it's better whether they're learning with me or from me or with each other. It's still probably more important than trying to learn strictly from the internet. Again, it can supplement things. It can help things get more in depth, but it shouldn't be the primary base for learning.
Yeah,
if that makes
I
sense.
added this one after. How do you feel about the no phone rule that really started this year?
I think it is awesome. I think it's I think it's great. You have a flip phone. You're fine. I think it's great. I thought it was going to be an absolute battle with kids, but it really hasn't been that bad. They probably don't want to admit it, but I think they like not having their phones and like
Because
having.
it's not even a fight to be had anymore now because they just know.
Yeah, and I've noticed so many more conversations. Kids actually seem to, well, they still might not get along. They are at least talking to each other, which is always nice as compared to what it was before.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to new teachers who are overwhelmed by classroom management? Because I know even like me, all new teachers, I think that's probably the number one thing you're afraid of when you start is how to be in your own classroom.
Yeah, because they don't give you a manual. They're just like, yeah, you're gonna
Good
be in
luck.
here alone with 25 kids and good luck. I didn't have. I had an excellent field experience. I thought my host teacher was great, but it's just different. You take over a class from them. A couple things I wrote down. The consistency is big. If you're not consistent, they will walk all over you because I've experienced that, whether it's on large scale or small scale. If you're not consistent, they'll just take that inch and basically drag it out a mile. It's always easier to start strict and get easier on them than to go the other way. I thought I was going to be, I thought they would just kind of recognize, this person's new, we'll take it easy on him. No, of course not. Why would they do that? So as the years have gone on, I've started, a little bit more strict. Naturally, that gets released throughout the year as you form those relationships, which can really help. And last thing I wrote down was don't let things stick with you. One bad thing would happen, and it would bother me for weeks, and it would almost like any sort of progress that I had made would almost be ruined. So that's, be consistent, set those expectations high. If they don't reach those expectations, that's okay. But it's always important to, try your best to reach those. And then definitely don't let things stick with you because that it can take a great day and make it one bad thing can make a great day a bad day, and you don't want that to happen.
I feel like sometimes they
all the
even
time.
know exactly what to say to get under your skin sometimes.
They're
and
impressively good at knowing what bothers you, which is pretty good. But yeah, can't let things stick with you. They're kids. Half the time they don't even know what they're saying. They might be doing it to hurt your feelings, but a lot of times they might just be doing it just to do it. So.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much. That was our last question.
All right. Thank you.
Big thank you to Mr. Ryle for sharing some of his insights and strategies on classroom management. Whether you're a future teacher, currently a teacher, or even just curious about how it is to be in a high school classroom, he gave us some great answers, some really good insight. If you couldn't tell, we were in his classroom at the end of the school day, and he has like a club going on in there. So there were a few voices, but it was real world. That's exactly how it is. A teacher never gets a break. So thank you so much for listening.